what's your emergency?
Welcome back to That Weewoo Show, a podcast where we watch and discuss episodes of the ABC show 911. I'm Bex.
I'm Alice.
And I'm Ellen.
Thank you to everyone who has listened to our episodes so far, who have shared our social media posts and have rated us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and wherever it is else that you are listening to us. We do appreciate it. We haven't done this for a while. We mentioned in the last episode that we had some of us had some deadlines that prevented us from getting episodes out, so apologies in advance for this episode. I'm not sure how long it's going to take us to get back into the swing of it. We may be a little bit punchy, so just be warned for whatever comes next. But before we get into whatever comes next, Alice, would you like to tell us what happened in the last episode?
So last week on 911, Eddie lost it at his son's charming teacher Anna after Christopher was injured trying to ride a classmate's skateboard. It was a run-on sentence and a half. And Josh from Dispatch was assaulted during what was supposed to be a first date. Poor Josh.
So in this episode, we're going to be discussing Season 3, Episode 13, which is called Pinned, which first aired on the 30th of March in 2020. And the official summary says that the 118 responds to accidents at a bowling alley and a home renovation. So there is Athena pursues a car thief in the summary, but that was cut from the episode, another one of those. So we'll just skip right over that and go to Bobby and Michael take Harry camping, and Chimney and Maddie rush into action when their romantic dinner date takes a wild turn.
I just realised, so Pinned aired 5 years ago today from when we're recording.
Oh, it's the 30th. Oh my goodness.
Because it's currently the 30th of March. So 5 years ago today, This episode aired. We're actually up to date. We're right on the schedule now. But 5 years ago.
Jeez. That feels like a really long time ago.
Yeah, right.
So we better just mention that there are some triggers for this episode, as usual. Or as Bex likes to call them, traumas. We've got the accidental nail gun injury. We have discussion of cancer and possible parental death. We have gore, plenty of blood and compound fracture, and the threat of gun violence. So first up, we've got this bowling alley injury.
I'm pretty sure trauma is a good word for it. I don't think anybody's getting out of this lightly.
No. It's pretty gruesome. I love these people who work in this bowling alley are like the perfect encapsulation of like the people who work at this kind of places. Like you've got this older lady who is just trying to get stuff done in the place. Like she sounds tired and kind of like she's over it. And the young guy is, really excited about everything. He's like, I'm management material. And then the other guy who works for them is just like the teenager who's looking at his phone all the time. So I thought the characterization was like very, I don't want to say stereotypical, but it was, right on the money for the
Yeah, we've all had those co-workers in retail.
Yes.
So the 911 wiki would like us to know that the actor that played Garrett in this episode was in the Christmas episode a few weeks ago. And he was do you remember the first scene with the woman trying to get the dancing duck toy? And she like runs up to the first employee that she can find and she's like, I need this duck. And he's just like, it's over there. Apparently that was the same actor. Him. So so he's kind of
Jesse, not Garrett. Yeah.
So he's been typecast.
He must have done a really good job of just looking like he didn't give a shit. I have just like summarized the entire beginning of this scene, but we can say that Garrett he's done everything that Arlene, who's the manager, has asked for before she even asked for it. And apparently Jesse, who's the guy who doesn't give a shit, is the owner's son.
Sister's son? It's a family.
Oh, her sister. Yeah, okay, that's right.
It's family connections. He's a Nepo baby.
So Jesse comes over and says that one of the lane 5 is down and he doesn't want to go and fix it. So Arlene is going to go and fix it and Garrett is supposed to be going home. So Jesse is looking after the desk or whatever, but he's not paying attention. And some girls come up and say that their scoring system isn't working, so they're going to go on lane 5. And he's just like, whatever, just... So this is so gross. So Arlene's in the back of the...
Hang on.
We have to mention the song first. Yeah.
We have to acknowledge the supernatural connection with this episode and this scene in particular, because as Arlene goes back to fix lane 5, we get a montage of how the pin setter works. So we see somebody bowl a frame, we see the machine come down, pick up the remaining pins, cycle through the old pins, return the ball through the ball return system, and the music that's playing through this scene is Feel It Still by Portugal the Man, which, if you are coming to us from the Supernatural fandom, and I think specifically the Destiel side of the fandom, I don't know how widely across the fandom this is known, but there is a very famous video fan edit set to Portugal the Man's Feel It Still, called... The actual name for it is Dean Winchester Rebel Just for Kicks, but I think everybody just knows it as the clicky edit.
Yeah, it's the clicky edit.
To the point where if I type Supernatural clicky edit into YouTube, this is the first video that it gives me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's as widely known as... It might be widely known in our, circle, but...
No, it's in, Tumblr quiz. It's in quizzes and stuff, like how deep in the Supernatural fandom you are, and it's like how many times have you watched the clicky edit?
Yeah, no, I shared it with someone this week after watching this episode, and they had never seen it before. I'm like, how have you not seen this? It's like the Tom Holland umbrella thing. That you if you see it, you have to share it. You have to watch it 5 times.
You have to watch it twice and then share it once. It's the laws of clicky.
The clicks and everything, it just scratches your brain in just the right way.
So the law for the clicky edit, for those of you who haven't encountered it before, is as soon as you hear Portugal the Man out in the wild, you immediately have to either watch the clicky edit or you have to share it somebody going I heard the song, now you got to watch the edit.
It's there's a really good Destiel edit to Bat Outta Hell, and it's one of my favourite edits. It's just done so well. It's fully their story from start to finish.
Yes.
Set to Bat Outta Hell.
Doesn't it go for the whole song too?
It's literally really the whole song. It's an 8-minute edit. It's amazing. Yes. And it for a while, Bat Outta Hell was on my work playlist. It was on. I don't set the playlist. It's a head office set playlist, and Bat Outta Hell was on it. And so, every couple days when it'd re-loop the playlist, I'd be like, oh, rules, and have to post the Bat Outta Hell edit. But I'd also be like, oh, I just have to go on a break, and I'd have to sit there and watch 8 minutes of this edit. Because it's so good. And then it was taken off YouTube, and I was so sad. I literally found the creator on Tumblr and messaged her, and they got back and sent me the edit, so it's on my phone now.
It's not on.
It came back. It came back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it for a long time. Now you're gonna have to
send
it to me.
I haven't watched it in ages, but yeah.
Rules are rules.
The other thing that is notable, specifically for 911 purposes, is that obviously the song came on as I was watching it for the purposes of writing notes, so I immediately had to go and watch the edit. And it's taken me this long to click that the actor who plays Eli in 911 was also in Supernatural.
Yeah.
Yeah!
It's
Who's
just one of those things I don't...
Remind.
He's one of the hunters at Asa Fox's funeral. So it's he's only in a couple of scenes, one episode, but I don't know, maybe I haven't watched Supernatural enough since I've started watching 911 to have picked, or I haven't watched that season, because that was like the Mary Winchester season, so not a favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We know it just from Clicky.
But yes, so Feel It Still is playing. We see how a pin setter works. And Arlene basically climbs into the pin setter from the back rooms to try and clear a pin that has been jammed.
Yeah.
Which is why she told Jessie to put a sign up and not let anybody use lane 5. Because as the girls bowl a frame and the pin setter moves to reset their pins, with Arlene's arm halfway stuck inside the machine, she's got a split second to go, oh shit, before the machine starts to move with her arm inside it.
Yeah. It's gross.
Ouch.
Yeah, I am actually very surprised that it did not take her arm off completely.
Yeah, I thought so after her arm gets crushed and you kind of see that, and the girl who is about to bowl again, she picks up a ball that's come through the machine and it's covered in blood and she's got blood all over her hands. And I was fully expecting like the ball return to come up with Arlene's hand.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh, no.
It got cut completely off and just came through the system, but no, they didn't quite go that
that
far.
would be cool, but I don't think that that's 911's shtick.
No.
Maybe on Supernatural they might
Definitely
have done
on
that.
Supernatural.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, for sure. But anyway, there's some quality screaming going on here. Like Arlene screams, and then the girl with the blood all over her hands screams.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, when she calls 911, she calls 911 with her bloody hands and says the bowling balls are bleeding.
Well, I mean, she probably reported it to Jessie, who was just like, okay.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, what do you want me to do about it? Like,
Because when the 118 arrive, Bobby strides right up to the counter and goes, hey, are you in charge here? And Jessie just goes, I guess.
Oh, dear. Can't get good help these days, apart from the guy who just left. Except he hasn't left, because Garrett races up and says, thank God you're here, this way. And then he just takes them off. And he explains everything about what had happened, even though he wasn't supposed to be there anymore, but he knows.
Yeah, he is in control.
But he shut off the power, which is good. Arlene is still screaming when they come around to find her.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Garrick just saw the girls screaming and the ball bleeding and put 2 and 2 together and hasn't actually gone back around maybe to find Arlene yet. So she's still calling for help, thinking that nobody has heard her, nobody is coming.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe the girls, like, no one twigged that where the blood was coming from. Like,
Oh, probably nobody did except for Garrett. And Garrett's gone, oh, lane 5, blood, shit, Arlene.
yeah.
Maybe he was out in the parking lot and saw the 118 roll up and then raced inside to see what was happening. Who knows? But the good thing is that he is on the case and the 118 are on the case and Buck is on the case.
Buck is on the case.
They're all standing around on top of the machine to work out like, she's got a compound fracture, so there is actually, like, at one point you can see, like, bone sticking out of her. It's extremely gruesome.
Or as Chimney says, her arm is like a wet bag of rocks. How broken the bones are.
Yeah.
Lovely visual.
And if they just release the whole thing, you know, she's going to be worse.
Yeah, Bobby asks how to release the pin setter, because obviously it's lifted halfway up and stopped, and so they want it to probably come back down. So there is a little winchy thing that you can put into a part up the front and you can manually lift it and lower it as necessary.
The part that they had that, like, does that, it looks exactly like the thing that raises and lowers my outdoor blinds.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's just a little winchy thing.
It's literally
Pretty
just
standard
yeah.
issue. But then the issue, yes, is they could lower it, but then what are they going to do once they get it lowered? Because they can't get her arm out of the pin setter because it's a wet bag of rocks.
Yeah, she needs to hold her arm in place.
Yeah, which is when Buck comes up with the somewhat brilliant idea to use the pin setter framework itself as the splint.
Yeah, Buck's not just a pretty face.
Not in this one, anyway. In some episodes, he very much is just the pretty face and the audience stand-in, but in this one, he gets to use his brains a little bit.
Yeah, he has the brain cell this episode. It's very exciting.
But then they go on and get a welder, or whatever you call that thing. I guess it's a welder.
Stick welder.
Yes. And, I don't know, just a welder do welding. I'm not a tool person. Buck is the one with all of the eye protection and gear on, and the rest of them are just standing around looking at it.
Yeah, don't look directly at a welder.
They don't even give Arlene any eye protection or anything. They just start welding, like, right next to her arm, which is not ideal.
No. They should have at least thrown one of their turnout coats over her or something to give her a little bit of protection.
Yeah, I mean, there's sparks flying all over the place.
You just have to look away from them, but yeah.
Anyway, for the drama, they cut her out.
Yes.
And she sounds like she's in so much pain when they pick up the metal part that's around her arm. But they do manage to push her out. They get her onto a gurney with the metal thing and push her out of the alley.
And for once, Buck actually knows something pop culture-y. Because as they push Arlene out of the bowling alley towards the front doors, he does his best German accent, which, you know, it's his best, but it's still not good. And mangles a quote from the Terminator, saying, like, living tissue under a metal endoskeleton. And I was just so happy for him that he actually had a movie reference for once.
Because this is what happens when he hangs out with Chim, apparently.
The Buckleys know nothing about pop culture.
I don't think they were allowed a television.
Probably not. And then Eddie, of course, has to stomp all over him and tell him that he's getting the quote wrong. Which, yes, he is. But at least he recognised that the quote in some form was applicable to this situation. Just let him have it, Edmundo.
And the look that Buck gives him is like, dude.
To the point where Buck just starts sulking, like, he can't just let me enjoy the win. And then Dad has to turn around, just, like, pacify the situation with, like, good job,
Have a cookie.
And Bobby also says to Garrett,
Garrett did a good job.
Good job, Buck. You too, Garrett. And Arlene then tells Garrett that, I don't know if they've given her some pain relief by now, but she doesn't sound like she's very with it anymore. So. She lost a lot of blood, so who knows. And then Garrett's like, no, I'll give everyone a coupon for another visit. And Arlene says, you're in charge, manager.
Yes.
And he's like,
very savvy.
Yay.
First order of business.
And then he turns around and he looks straight at Jesse, and then he just goes, you're fired.
And I love the way the actor does this, because he, like, snap and points at Jesse. He's like, you're fired. And then turns away with, like, his pleased grin on his face and walks away. And Jesse's just left there like, huh?
Yeah.
So we didn't actually get the episode title said in this scene. But it's very on
she
brand.
Was very pinned. Yeah.
She was pinned, like, by a literal pin setter. So I think it counts.
Uh-huh. Yes, I didn't make that connection at the time. Okay. We're going to Michael's place, where Hen is visiting. I did not notice that Nia was there. Why is Nia there?
Because Karen would be at work, so somebody's got to look after the baby.
They also just, like, forgot about it last week. So
no, I'm having a feeling that Hen came over to Michael's and Nia was fussing. It must have been, like, nap time. So she's just like, can I put her down for her nap here?
Yeah, okay.
Maybe she'd hoped that she'd fall asleep in the car on the ride over or something, and it didn't work out. She's just like, just let me put her down, and then we can catch up and do whatever it is we needed to do.
It's fine. They just wanted us all to remember that Neo exists.
Yeah, basically, it was a very clever way of just
remember,
like,
guys,
hey.
that Hen and Karen are fostering a child. This is the child.
But it wasn't like shoving it down our throat or having a big... It was just this little tiny snippet of, there's a baby.
And Hen is trying to force Michael to drink some green tea. But even though he says he's not a green tea kind of guy, but Hen's like, apparently the EGCG in green tea can boost the effectiveness of the temozolomide. I've probably pronounced that totally wrong, but I don't care. So apparently it can make the chemo drugs work better on the brain tumour. Thank you for explaining that, Michael. But he does drink it, and, it's not that terrible.
So Hen has apparently come over to give Michael her tent. Did not take Hen for the camping type, but she has a tent that she's willing to give to Michael because his got lost somewhere in the move.
Not sure how you lose a tent in mood, but anyway.
Well, I would assume that if it's not at his place, it would still be at Athena's.
Yeah.
Maybe Michael's not talking to Athena right now, so Athena's just like, yeah, I found his fucking tent, but go give him yours because I'm mad at him. And maybe he'll listen to you.
I don't know. It's a nice way to set up the dual back and forth that we have, because we can have a conversation about why Michael needs the tent, happening from both Michael and Hen, and then also from Athena and Bobby, and it kind of cuts backwards and forwards.
Mm-hmm.
So they are, Michael and Harry are going camping, because apparently that's tradition, even though, and we cut to the Athena residence, where Athena and Bobby are carrying groceries into the house, even though Athena says that it's foolish, because he's got a brain tumour. He shouldn't be going camping.
Yeah, and just then May comes in, and she was really happy about something, but then when she hears about the camping, she stops being happy, basically. Yeah. She's like, wait, they're still going camping? Like, he has a brain tumour. But Bobby is going to go along too. And we go back to Michael's, and Hannah's saying Bobby is an EMT, but he's not a doctor. But Michael is reassuring her, saying, I still need to go on this trip.
Yeah, so the first time I watched this episode, I absolutely thought that something awful was going to happen to Michael while camping.
Yeah, they are sort of setting it up for that. And Michael does say that he's taking him every year and they need to make sure this time is memorable just in case there isn't another time. And we go back to the Bethina house, and May says that it's all her fault, and Athena and Bobby are both like, no, it's not your fault at all, And then Bobby said, we said we'd support him when he decided not to have the surgery. And Athena's like, no, you said that. I haven't given up on the idea of knocking some sense into him. So, and then after that, May sort of goes, oh, by the way, I got into USC. And so then they're excited, except May isn't. She just leaves.
Poor thing. She was so excited about that, and she was looked so excited to share that news, and that moment has now been ruined for her. So from the Bethina residence, we go to the Hahn residence. I'm assuming later that night. Who knows, timeline-wise. But it's nighttime. And Chim has emerged from his bedroom to get a drink from the fridge when he hears noises from the living room / Albert's bedroom. And he goes over to turn the lamp on, and a half-undressed woman pops up from the couch.
Yeah.
To Chimney's
like,
shock.
You're not Albert.
Not Albert.
And then Albert pops up, and he's also half naked.
I like how Albert's now started calling him Chimney. That's great. I love that.
So obviously they told him why Howard is called Chimney?
Well, I don't know
Or
if they
he's
told
just
him,
seen
but
everybody else doing it, so he's
yeah,
just
everyone
doing
else
it
is
too.
calling him that. Yeah, I think so.
So Megan is the half-undressed woman, is just as surprised to see Chimney as Chimney is to see her, because she didn't know that Albert had a roommate. I'm like, lady, you were about to have sex with him on the couch. Don't you think if that was his apartment, you would have gone to his bedroom?
I mean, maybe. I'm glad that Megan gets a name. In this
We
episode.
find out quite a bit about Megan in this episode. I'm very pleased with that.
She's only in it for 5 minutes, but, you know, we do get some details.
So she scurries off to get dressed in the bathroom, and the brothers have a bit of a standoff. I did love in the comments that you refer to this sort of scene as Albert 1.0.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like he's been slipping around a bit since he arrived, according to Chim after Megan leaves.
Yeah, and last week's episode he was on a date.
Yeah. But, yeah, Chim describes her as a rando club girl, and, you know, then she comes in and goes, oh, I'm actually working on a PhD in applied mathematics.
No, it's even better, because Chim goes like, you brought some rando club girl to my home, and Albert's like, bro, did you not see how hot rando club girl was? So Albert doesn't even remember her name at this point. And so then she emerges and goes, rando club girl is actually working on a PhD in applied mathematics. To which Chimney very gallantly says, I apologise, doctor. I wasn't trying to disparage you, I was trying to disparage him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She does accept their apology and then leaves. And Albert's like, I wish I'd gotten her number.
Dude. But the point of this scene is not so much Albert slutting it up in Los Angeles, but that Chim is no longer slutting it up. In fact, he's not slutting it at all. He's having very boring, vanilla, monogamous sex maybe once a week with Maddie.
I laughed so much.
And Albert is horrified.
Yeah. Albert's like, oh yeah, Maddie's a good friend to you. And Chim goes, she's a lot more than a friend. And Albert goes, is she? Because I see the friendship, but I don't see the passion. Do you guys even have sex? And Chim's like, of course we have sex. We had sex 3
And then he has to stop and
ago.
think about it.
Yeah. And then Albert's like, I didn't notice. And Chim's like, you weren't supposed to notice. Like, sorry for not having sex in the middle of the lounge room.
Like, not everyone does it on the couch, Albert.
No, but
They
I'm
have a
guessing
bedroom.
that Albert is expecting, like, if the ignition between the two of them, the passion would be so loud that it, like, sounds would be echoing throughout.
Maybe they
the
went
apartment.
to wherever Maddie lives.
It's very respectful, very quiet. Probably missionary
New York?
position.
Who knows?
Didn't mean to offend Chim and said as long as Chim's happy, then he's happy for him. And Chim's just like, well, I'm happy. Of course I'm happy.
Like, are you
He doesn't sound
trying
very
to tell
sure.
Albert, or are you trying to tell yourself that you're happy?
Yeah, he doesn't seem too convinced.
And I was like, no, we can't have relationship drama between those two. They're so cute.
Maddie, my beloved.
Thankfully, it didn't turn out to be too much relationship drama. Okay, camping. Camping time. I'm just remembering I have to post this episode next week when I am camping.
Oh.
Oh no.
So while everyone's listening to this, I will be camping.
Will you be planting a tree?
No.
No.
I will not. I will be sitting on the beach.
Oh, that's a very different type of camping.
Anyway, yes, there's
Meanwhile,
nice weather at this camping trip.
It does look like it's nice weather. We are driving towards said camping trip. It's Michael driving, Bobby's riding shotgun, Harry in the tree in the back seat. Because apparently the main
Harry and
point
the
of
tree.
this Harry in the tree. Because apparently
Harry
the
and a
main
tree.
point of this camping trip is that Harry and Michael are working to repopulate the forest one tree at a time.
Yep,
It
single-handedly
was-
one tree at a time.
Once a year.
Yeah, Bobby asks why the tree, and it's really cute because Michael starts to tell the story, and then Harry immediately picks up the thread and runs with it. He's heard this story so many times he could tell it in his sleep. So the story was that there was a fire in the forest, most of the trees burnt down, and Harry's grandfather promised that they would all grow back. And so they go up. So he and Michael would go up and plant a tree. And then when Grandpa Grant passed, Harry and Michael kept up the tradition. And Harry's very cute because he says now Bobby gets to do it too. But as I said, Michael was driving, but he's not doing so well. He's
got pain in his hands and
something's going on with his hands. It looks like his head's hurting a little bit, so he asks if Bobby can take over driving, and Bobby looks a little bit concerned.
I think one of the side effects of the chemo is like neuropathy, nerve pain in your fingers and stuff. So or numbness sometimes.
Yeah, they mention
Yeah,
numbness later.
Bobby says later on that you think you're hiding it, something about numb hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably
So he asked Bobby to take over.
the driving, but I think Bobby takes that a little bit further.
Yeah.
So Bobby's taken leave. While he's going camping, the rest of the 118 are on shift because it's still a work day for them.
They're having a therapy session in the locker room.
We have Eddie, Hen, and Chim getting dressed in the locker room, and yes, it's Chimney's therapy session.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank God Buck was not involved in this.
I have a feeling that Chimney would probably not want to discuss his sex life with Buck's sister in front of Buck.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a reason Buck was not in the room when they had this conversation.
Yeah. Like, do you reckon Chimney was just like, oh, Buck, can you go get me a left-handed screwdriver from the storage closet?
I don't know. Or maybe he's just like looking at everybody and telepathically telling them to be like super slow getting dressed. So Buck gets ready super fast and they're all sort of lingering behind, and as soon as he leaves, they're like, right, I gotta tell you about what Albert said to me the other night. Which is apparently that things with him and Maddie are great, but they're not exactly lighting the world on fire.
And then Chim says he really cares about her. And Hen describes that as the dreaded C word. But she says, I really care about good arch support, but that's not how you feel about your significant other. Chim's like, I care about her more than my shoes.
Yeah, Eddie goes straight to the point and just goes, do you love her? And Chim goes, yeah. And does she love you? But Chim says it's unclear. Because Chim feels like she does, but neither of them have actually said the exact words out loud.
Which Hen finds a little bit... She finds that interesting because they've been together for like a year. It's not a year because Chim knows exactly how long they've been together. They've been dating for 10 months and 3 weeks, and he could probably tell you the days and hours and minutes as well.
Which is kind of cute.
Yeah.
And so you've been together for like a year.
Yeah.
But Chim he's being very respectful. Chim 2.0 is being very respectful. He's letting Maddie take it slow, especially after everything that they have been through with, Doug.
Getting stabbed, almost dying, all of that.
Oh, they've been through so much.
Although apparently, according to Hen, glaciers move faster than Chim and Maddie.
But Chim helpfully says, they're also melting, so maybe Fiery's overrated. And that's when Buck turns up.
So they have a new interim captain. Just as Chim said, he wasn't going to do it again. So interim captain Reynolds wants everyone to do a lineup. before the shift starts.
Who's Reynolds? Do we know who Reynolds is?
I don't think we've ever met Reynolds.
Cool. So
I mean, the only other captain we've met was Gerard, and they weren't going to bring him back.
yeah,
So
all I can think is Burt Reynolds, and it's not Burt Reynolds. So.
It's not Burt Reynolds.
But anyway, before they leave, Eddie stops Chim and says, "Hey, I get taking things slow, but tomorrow isn't promised to anyone. So if you love her, tell her." And if anyone knows that, it's Eddie.
It would be him.
No.
Poor Eddie.
Poor Shannon.
Justice for Shannon.
Hashtag justice for Shannon. Okay. So while the 118 go do their lineup, we're going to cut back to the Athena residence, where Athena is attempting to make up for the lackluster response they had to May's announcement that she got the big envelope from USC. She's gone to Starbucks.
By bringing her Starbucks.
It was very interesting that it was quite clearly a Starbucks cup, but they never actually fully showed the logo.
No, you just see the edges of it.
Which I don't understand what was going on there, because I think if Starbucks were like sponsoring the episode, they would want to have the logo sort of fully facing. Or if it was one of those, we can't show Starbucks because we don't have permission and the license to use it, they wouldn't be letting the logo be shown at all. So I don't know what's going on with like the half on, half off logo, but it is quite clearly Starbucks.
Maybe they didn't know if they'd got the deal yet, so they just were one foot out the door.
then you just use like ordinary coffee cups. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, it's one of those frothy ones that May likes, made entirely out of milk and sugar.
So she's got coffee. Looks like she got some pastries as well to go with the coffee, and they have an extra nail appointment, because they have like a standing once a month appointment with Tammy, but they're going again today to get their nails done. And then Athena is going to take her for lunch over at the burger place, which just so happens to be by USC, which May was really excited about the coffee and the pastries and the nails, except now she realizes that it's just Athena trying to sway her decision towards USC.
So yeah, she's like, oh no, I'm not trying to sway it. There are a lot of colleges you still haven't heard from, but she wouldn't mind if May followed in her footsteps. But she says she's very proud of May, and they're going to celebrate the first acceptance letter whether May likes it or not.
Yeah, because that's a big deal getting into college.
Yeah. And she says that, she goes, okay, but after lunch, can we go to the mall? We can celebrate with some new clothes. And things like, if you say yes to USC, I will buy you a whole new wardrobe. But yeah, she hasn't told Michael yet about it. But, he'll be back soon, Athena says. You have time.
Still have time. But then we cut to the campsite, and Michael's not doing so well. They've set up the tents. There's a little fold-out picnic table. Michael is trying to bring an esky from the vehicle, and he's struggling. And to the point where he doesn't even get it all the way to the table. He, stops 3/4 of the way there, drops it, and then sits down on it immediately.
We have to, call it a cooler, though, because no one knows what an esky is outside of Australia.
Yeah.
Fine.
And they call it something different. They call it something different in New Zealand too.
Chili box.
Chili bin.
It's chili bin.
Chili bun.
Thank you.
Apologies.
Shout out to our Kiwi friends.
Kiwis. Love you, Kiwis.
The cool food receptacle. So he's
the cooler.
Yeah, the cooler. So he's absolutely wiped. All he wants to do is take a break. Harry, who's been in the car for hours and is ready and raring to go, wants to start scouting out for the perfect place to plant the tree. And Michael's like, no, I need I need a rest. Okay? Just give me a few minutes to lie down. And Harry's like, no, but we always go straight away. We always pick a spot when we first get here. It's tradition. So Michael's like, no, I just give me an hour. And so Bobby tries to mediate. He's like, okay, because Michael's gone to lie down. Harry's getting upset because he's realizing that things are not okay with his dad.
Yeah, so Harry says that Michael said that he'd be fine for a year, and it's only been a month, and there's, like, he's already struggling. So Harry's freaking.
Bobby tries to console him, like, it's fine, we can pick a spot in the morning. And Harry's like, but no, we always do it when we first get here. Like, kids are not good with change, especially when stuff is like, this is the way things are supposed to go. Yeah. So Bobby goes, okay, cool, why don't we do this? You and I will go find some spots. When we come back, we'll show them to Michael, we'll take photos, we'll mark them on the map, and then once he's had his lie down, we can go back out and we can plant the tree. And that cheers Harry up, and so they go off and do that. So while they go and do that, we're going to our next emergency of the episode. Apparently the writers used up all of their character world building on Megan, because none of these characters have names in this scene. So I am going to refer to them simply as dad and daughter, because we don't know what their names are. So it turns out we are in a nice little house somewhere in LA, which the daughter has bought with assistance from her parents. But her dad is helping her remodel it. She has returned from Home Depot with supplies, and we can see that the house is covered in like drop cloths and painter's tape, and there is a wooden frame for an interior wall halfway between the kitchen and, I'm guessing, what would be the living room, main room.
Yeah, for some reason she does not like open plan in her house.
No, I'm with her.
Oh, really?
I'm 100% with her. Yeah, I hate it.
I hate not having open plan.
See, the reason the daughter gives
walls everywhere.
Yeah, I hate the walls.
No, see, like, the daughter gives the reason, which is the reason that I hate open plan, is that she needs something to hide the view of the dirty dishes from the couch. I hate the fact that my kitchen, like, I am sitting couch adjacent in my living room, and I can stretch out my arm and I can touch my kitchen bench.
Right.
Which means that when I'm sitting in the living room, I can see my kitchen and I can see how filthy it is if I haven't done the dishes. It also means that all the smells from the kitchen go straight through everywhere in the house because I can't close the kitchen off.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so my issue, like, my old house was semi-open, but the kitchen and the lounge room were on opposite ends of the house. And because it was such a small house, like, all the smells still travelled, but if people were over, or even when I didn't live alone and had, like, a partner, if they were watching TV in the lounge room, or, like, playing games in the lounge room, or doing anything in the lounge room, and I wanted to cook dinner, I had to go to the opposite end of the house. And so, like, I was always away from everything. So it did my head in, because, like, even, like, getting, like, drinks or snacks for anyone, I'd have to go all the way away and then miss, like, all the conversation.
Right, see, that actually sounds like a really good thing for me.
Nah, fucking hated it.
Interesting.
I
love house plans.
Mum designed our house, like their house. When they did the renovation, she designed it so that the kitchen would be in the middle, so that you wouldn't miss out on things. It's big enough so that, like, when we have Christmas or whatever here, like, there can be people in the kitchen and you're not elbowing people. Right, and so, like, Mum will be cooking and I'll just be sitting in the kitchen chatting to her and I'm not in the way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereas in, like, the little pokey kitchen, someone goes in the kitchen and you're like, cool, now I can't open any of the drawers because you're in the way.
Yeah.
This is why I used to love playing Sims, because designing, like, this is still what I do when I play Minecraft, I build houses, but designing the way that...
Sims.
Yeah. I was about to say.
Well, my daughter plays
Alice.
Sims now. Designing houses is so much fun. But I must be like mildly claustrophobic, I guess, because I really hate small rooms. Like,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, most modern houses these days have like pokey little rooms, but give me an open plan, high ceiling, and I love it. That's what I love. So,
Sound off in the comments. Are you team open plan or are you team closed plan? Let us know what your living preferences are like.
I think it varies quite a bit by like from country to country as well. Like a lot of
American houses are totally different to our houses.
Yeah, and European houses tend to have small rooms that you can close all the doors to save on heating and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, depends on climate too.
Anyway, back in
this
LA,
house, they're adding a frame. They're adding a wall.
They are adding a wall, which the father is teaching his daughter how to build a wall, which apparently involves the use of, I'm going to call it a nail gun. I know that their father is going to get mad at me because it's a framing nailer. I'm calling it Chekhov's nail gun because he picks up the nail gun and he is showing his daughter how to use it to secure the studs. He is ironically very concerned with his daughter's safety and will not let her pick up the gun until she has eye protection and gloves on, and gets very angry at her when she accidentally points the gun at him. Says that she needs to treat the nail gun as she would an actual gun and never point it at anything you don't intend to shoot.
And I was watching this with like between my fingers going, someone is getting a nail in them at some point during this scene.
Chekhov's nail gun.
Exactly. So he guides her to put it up in the middle of the stud, and they get it in, and she fires the nail and it goes in, and they're so excited that they got it right. But the next time she tries to do their next nail, it doesn't work. She's clicking with the trigger and nothing is happening. So naturally, Dad starts poking at it, points it towards himself.
Oh, my entire body clenched. Yeah, as soon as he started fucking around with it, my entire body clenched.
It's like those videos when it's like that prank that they have, I think it probably tracks back to like Charlie Brown or something, where you've got a garden hose and some further down the line sort of bends the garden hose in half, and the other person's trying to use the hose to water something, and they look down the nozzle of the hose, like where's the water, and the other person releases it, and all of a sudden they get shot in the face with water. It was like that, except it's a nail gun.
Yeah.
But it's essentially the same thing.
And instead of his face, it's his heart.
Yes. So he ends up with a nail in the chest, and they just sort of stare at each other for a moment.
Which, you're like, that's valid.
Yeah, and she's like, Dad? And he's like, you better call 911. And then he just, like, totally just
death
lumberjack
backwards.
Falls over. Sack of potatoes onto the ground.
Yes.
Maddie takes the 911 call, and the daughter tries to tell Maddie that it was a pin nailer, and Dad said, this is where he says, it's a framing nailer from the background, even though he's shot on the ground.
Well, first of all, she tells Maddie that her dad has shot himself in the heart, and so Maddie is like getting very concerned that there is a weapon on the scene, and she's trying to get more information about the potential dangerous weapon that the team are going to encounter, which is when we get the fun.
She's also singing Bon Jovi for some reason.
No, that was me. For those of you who are out there in listening land, I was typing the notes, and and it says, and I quote, "The gun is pointing straight at his chest, and of course the trigger mechanism unjams at this point, and the dad gets shot through the heart." And then my brain just went on the Bon Jovi track, and it's the rest of the notes are, "And you're to blame, darling. You give love a bad name."
Yeah. So yeah, the daughter says, "Help, please! My dad shot himself in the heart." You're to blame. Maddie, you give love a bad name. But she gives the address, but it was a nail gun. It got stuck, he was working on it, and it went off.
So the 118 get dispatched. For some reason, it appears that Eddie is running point on this call because he's the first one on the scene. He's the one that does all the radioing through to dispatch in the hospitals. I don't understand why, but
Where's
apparently
Reynolds?
Eddie's in charge today. Yeah, exactly. Where is Reynolds?
We don't know who Reynolds is, it's fine.
Maybe when Reynolds is in charge, he's like, the captain does not need to go out on every single call.
Yeah, you guys got this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are
It's
fine.
just-
I'm gonna
it's just
go play
interesting that
cards.
It's Eddie. I mean, Chim would have seniority, but obviously he's gone, interim Captain Han is retired, which then Hen has next seniority. Even Buck has more seniority than Eddie. So why is Eddie the one in charge? I am not complaining. I love a man in charge, but it's just an interesting thing to note.
Eddie sort of saying, is that thing still on? And the daughter was too afraid to touch it, so she doesn't know. So they take care of that. And then Hen asks the dad
goes,
how
I'll
he's
secure
feeling.
the weapon.
Yeah. Hen asks the dad how he's feeling, and Dad goes, like an idiot.
So there is a risk that the needle has punctured the heart, of course, which is creating a fluid buildup around the heart. So they need to get him to hospital. So they get him on a gurney. They get him out of the house. The daughter is still talking to her dad as they push him out. She wants to know what hospital they're taking him to so that she can follow. She's going to get her mother first, and then they're going to meet him at the hospital. And I love that her dad is like, do not tell your mother what happened. And the daughter's like, you got a nail sticking out of your chest. I'm pretty sure she's going to figure it out. And the daughter is just keeps trying to tell her dad that she loves him. Like, I love you, I love you. And he's just more concerned about the fact that his wife is going to tear him a new one.
If the nail doesn't kill him, then she's going to finish the job.
Exactly. And they drive off before he says, I love you, back to his daughter.
Yeah. And then when they're in the ambulance on the way, Chim's sort of attaching leads to him just to make sure his heart's still okay. And he says, oh, damn it, I didn't say I love you back to my daughter. What if it's the last time I speak to her? And Chim's like, don't worry, you'll have chances to tell her later. And he looks really, a bit disturbed by this.
Yeah, it's very interesting that the main theme of this episode is people being pinned. So you've got, Arlene getting pinned by the pin setter. You've got this guy being pinned by the pin nailer. But the underlying theme is also people thinking they have more time and maybe they don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Hen notices that the dad's heartbeat is like his pulse is kind of flattening out a little bit. And she asks whether the leads are correct. And Chim's like, of course I did. But they realise he's
Bitch, you're questioning my abilities right now.
Yeah, like, how dare you?
Yeah, like, what the fuck, Hen? I thought we were friends.
He's about to basically go into arrest, so they're going to have to start compressions. And they get, he does a few compressions, and then all of a sudden, all this blood starts just spurting out of where the nail is in his chest. And
So
Jim's
much
like,
blood.
I think I'm making the hole in his heart bigger.
I love how calm Hen is in this situation because Chim's absolutely freaking out. And Hen's just like, they'll fix it at the hospital, assuming he's not dead.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations
Very
where,
matter of fact.
where you might be causing damage, but damaged is better than not dead. So Chim just has to keep doing the compressions.
There's so much blood flowing out of him.
There's so much blood. As soon as the heart starts beating, it sprays Chim in the face. So I'm watching this while eating dinner. And I'm eating a sausage roll for dinner, which I don't think they have those in America. It's literally just sausage mince surrounded in pastry. and I've covered this thing in tomato sauce, like ketchup.
I love all the translations we're having to do in this episode.
I know, like, a sausage roll with, like, tomato sauce is such a, like, Aussie thing, but...
Yes.
Anyway, it's covered in tomato sauce, and then all this blood is just spurting. And then they get to the, they get to the hospital.
Can we just side quest this part? I know we've got some medically adjacent or medically inclined listeners. Can anyone please tell me whether Chim and Hen would go through any medical repercussions from being coated in blood? Because Chim literally gets sprayed in the face.
Yeah.
I assume
and considering the number of bloodborne viruses and infections, I would have thought that they would have been wearing masks in the ambulance to protect themselves at some point.
This is pre-COVID. Masks didn't exist, Bex.
In the medical field, they bloody well did.
No, Bex, they didn't exist. Yes, they did. I'm being a dick.
But even then, I would have thought that they would be slightly more concerned about the fact that he just got sprayed with blood in the face.
Yeah, I mean, you can guarantee they'd be going to wash off as soon as they got to the hospital or back to the...
I just kept thinking that it should have been treated the same way as like a needle stick injury.
Yes, so they should be, like, testing the dad as well when he gets to the hospital to test, like, to make sure that he's clear of things, and then
testing them to make sure that they haven't contracted anything as well, I guess.
Yeah. Like, I just watched the episode of House literally, like, 2 days ago, where they're treating a patient who's HIV positive, and he starts coughing up blood and gets Cameron in the face, and she has to go through, like, all the things where she has to get tested, like, every month, and then, like, every 6 months, and has to go on the antivirals and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she gets high and sleeps with Chase. But anyway, but, like, they knew that he had HIV, so, like, they went into the thing straight away.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just something that I've always thought that everyone was just a little bit too blasé about the fact that these two end up looking like they've just escaped from Carrie's prom. And nobody is freaking out.
The engine truck arrives because they've followed the ambulance, and Eddie and Buck are just chatting as they, like, walk to the ambulance, and Eddie goes, "Oh, you hungry? You want to grab a bite?" And Buck's like, "Yeah, definitely. I haven't had a proper meal since Bobby left." And that's when they open the door to the ambulance, and Chim and Hen literally just covered in blood.
Yeah, I want to know what happened between, like, him getting his heartbeat back and
I'm going to say that every time his heart beat...
Yeah, every time his heart beat, it would have sprayed blood.
Can't they, like, stop it from doing that?
Unless they stick their hand in the chest and cover, like, and hold the hole closed.
No, Ellen's got a point, because shouldn't they have secured the nail, like, wrapped it in bandages or just, like, secured it in place?
Look, probably, but for the drama...
For the
drama.
I was looking. When they arrived at the hospital, I had to rewind it.
I love how mad Ellen is about this episode.
No, I just
not
need to
once.
let it go. Yeah. But no, when they arrived at the hospital, I'm looking at them covered in blood. I had to rewind to see what it was like before they arrived, because all that we see, like, even after his heart starts spraying everywhere, Hen is completely clean. It's just Chim has a blood splatter, like, from the first 5 minutes of Supernatural on his face. And then they arrive at the hospital and they're just completely covered.
Yeah,
and it's not just them, it's the inside of the rig as well. Like, the walls are covered in blood.
So everything's covered in blood. The ambulance is covered in blood. Chimney's covered in blood. Hen's covered in blood. My sausage roll is covered in tomato sauce. And Buck goes, and I just lost my appetite.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yep. So So I just looked sadly down at my sausage roll, sent a photo to Ellen and Bex, and then kept eating after a while.
But while Bucks lost his appetite, Chim says that he's found his. And he, with his bloody gloves, and I'm not saying bloody because I'm Australian and I swear they are literally still covered with blood, he pulls out his personal mobile phone, starts tapping at the screen, and then lifts it.
Hang on, guys, that's a cell phone, just so you...
Oh, good lord. Yes! He pulls out his cell phone. I would have assumed that one would have been understandable within the context of the situation. Pulls out his cell phone, starts tapping at it with his bloody, once again, literally bloody finger, and lifts it to his bloody face, again, literally bloody face, and I'm looking and going, Chim, could you have not at least cleared up the biohazard before you picked up your personal phone?
Yes.
But no, he's apparently in the mood. He's ready to go. Because when Buck asks where he's going, he's going to ask Buck's sister out on a proper date so he can tell her that he loves her. And Eddie's just, we missed a lot, huh? And yeah. Apparently so.
Well, Eddie, you already knew that he loved her. But now you know that Chim gets turned on by having blood in his face, so we're okay.
Okay, maybe the sex is not as vanilla as I thought it was.
Oh my god!
Chimney Heart having a blood kink was not on my bingo card.
Oh my god, just the visuals.
I don't want to think too hard about it.
Oh, I am. I'm quite enjoying that, actually.
I mean, he knows what he wants.
Was it just the blood? Was it the squirting of the blood?
Oh no. Anyway, let's go away from the blood.
Let's go camping.
Where there is nothing kinky going on at all at the campsite.
Well, no, because there's a child.
It's very calm. It's calm until they get back and Michael gets cross with them. So Bobby and Harry have been walking and they found some spots that are potential tree planting spots. Then he finds out from Harry that his grandfather actually died before he was born, but Michael showed him what his father had taught him, so...
Michael has woken from his nap and he is grumpy like a bear.
He mad.
So pissed that they went hiking and found spots for the trees without him.
Yeah, they were just supposed to sit quietly at the table and not move for an hour.
Pretty much, yeah. I think so.
This is the problem with having different ideas of what tradition it involves, I guess. Because Harry said that they needed to go right away. But, I mean, Michael, the whole point of it was that they went together. So.
But then, I'm jumping around a bit, but later on, Michael says that the whole point of Bobby coming to the camping trip was so that he can learn everything about this so he can continue the tradition.
Look, Michael has a brain tumour. He doesn't have to be rational.
Yeah.
True.
I guess. I mean, it's probably that he did not expect Michael didn't expect Bobby to take over quite so soon, but I mean, this is the point of Bobby being there as far as Michael is concerned. This is good that he's going out and he's doing this stuff with Harry because he is possibly going to be having to do that in the future. But yeah, I think it's pissed Michael off because he's having to face his mortality and what it looks like if he's not going to be there.
Yeah.
But, so he's ready to rumble with Bobby. Harry gets annoyed and stomps off to the car and just he doesn't want to even be here anymore. Just wants to go home. Michael's ruined it.
But Bobby actually does tell him off. He's like, look, he's terrified. You think you're hiding how you're feeling, but you're not. He can see it and it's making it all real. And Michael's like, I'm the one fighting for my life here. But, I don't know, this whole argument is, I know that Michael is not feeling well and he's trying to make everything as normal as possible. But Bobby is like trying to make out that everyone else has a life and you're making it hard for everybody. And it's like, oh, guys, seriously, like no one is in the right here. Like everyone's doing everything wrong, apparently, according to each of them. Like, you know, nothing anyone does is correct.
Yes, according to Bobby, Michael is not being sick the right way.
Yeah, how dare he?
He said, we're all trying to support you, but you keep pushing us away.
And it's like, but he's not pushing them away. He's trying to bring Bobby into his traditions and stuff. Like, you know, it's very contradictory.
Yeah. Anyway, so Bobby tells Michael that May got into USC.
Yeah, way to go, Mike. Way to go, Bobby.
Yeah, that's a bit unfair.
Yeah. And that May blames herself for Michael not having the surgery. And Michael says that it has nothing to do with her. And Bobby's like, her father might be dying. How does that not have everything to do with her? And with Harry and with Athena. But Michael says he's not trying to push anyone away. He's trying to take steps back so that they can learn how to be a family when he's gone.
And then he storms off in a huff.
Yeah.
So you've got Harry in one direction, Bobby in the other, Michael in the other direction, and Bobby's sort of left in the middle going like, what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah.
I think the weird part is like they say earlier that they haven't spoken to him for a few days. I think May says that earlier. And he says like he's been trying to take a step back, and you get the sense that he has been. But we only ever see them together. Like whenever we we go to Athena's place, Michael's there. So to us, it doesn't feel like he's taking any steps back. He's just always there.
Like he's just talking to Hen one day instead of Athena.
Yeah, perhaps we needed a few more episodes between Michael's sightings in order to fully get the sense of him pulling away.
Yeah, I mean, in an 18 episode season, when they're trying to wrap up whatever arc is going on in this season, I'm guessing they don't really have the luxury of having extra episodes where he's not around. But
that's okay. We will deal with it.
All right, dispatch time.
Maddie's finished her shift. She's getting ready to leave. And Josh also is getting ready to leave. And I will note that Josh still looks terrible. Like, not as bad as he did after the last episode. This show, for the most part, does a really good job of continuity of injuries. Like, we probably gave them shit a little bit about the placement and the colouring of Chimney's forehead scar after he got the rebar to his head.
He's still just got, like, a little cross on his head.
But they still remember, this person has an injury, we need to keep including that, and then we need to, like, reduce it over time. It's not just going to suddenly disappear one day. So it's
like
been
Supernatural.
So it's been a while. I don't know how long it's been between Josh getting attacked and now, but he's still got bruises on his face. His injuries are still evident. So, kudos to makeup and continuity for taking that into consideration when they got Brian back on for this episode.
Maddie looks like she's about to leave for the day, and Josh asks her if she's got big plans, and Maddie looks kind of terrified. She's like, Chim said that he's taking me out for dinner and there's something that he has to tell me face to face. And Josh catches him right away.
Yeah.
And says, oh, you don't think he's... And Maddie says, breaking up with me? So she's jumped to a conclusion.
But if he is, he's picked a very expensive restaurant to do it in.
Mm-hmm. So Josh is like, oh, must be good news then. Yeah, Maddie's like, he sounded serious and Chimney never sounds serious. He does sound serious some of the time.
Well, does he?
Sometimes, but probably in situations where it's warranted that he be serious. But Maddie doesn't think that a dinner date does not warrant being serious. So she
doesn't see him at work when he's being serious.
Yeah. So she's questioning everything. She's got the what ifs. And Josh immediately nips that in the bud. He's like, no what ifs. Don't be the person who immediately assumes the worst of anyone. That's my job. Remember? So we get a little bit of a an update on Josh. He's doing okay, but he's still a little skittish. I love the foreshadowing this line because it sounds like
I didn't pick up on this the first time.
It sounds like a complete just throwaway line because he says, yesterday I was convinced I saw Greg, or whatever his actual name was, outside this building. And you think it's just, oh, Josh is like jumping at shadows. He's seeing him everywhere. Because then he also goes on and says, I also saw him at my chiropractor. But considering how this episode ends, it is a distinct possibility that Greg, or whatever his name was actually outside the dispatch building.
Yeah.
Maddie is, of course, very familiar with the jumping at shadows phase because she's been through it with Doug, and she tells him that it'll pass.
It's fine, Josh. I'm sure you won't see him anytime soon.
No. He's completely out of your
At
life.
work. Yeah.
So she goes home, or she goes home to get changed, I'm guessing. She leaves dispatch.
We don't actually know if she's got a house, so she leaves. It's fine.
I mean, she could just be living in the back of her car. Who knows at this point? All we know is
she's
that
living in one of the rooms at dispatch.
We did get this little throwaway scene where the guy who, at this point, I was still calling Mr. You Have Power. Apparently his name is Jamal. So Jamal comes in and Josh is like, why, what are you still doing here? Aren't you going home? And Jamal's like, no, I'm pulling an extra shift.
Yeah, Josh is just like, why is no one going home?
I think he's also upset because apparently Jamal must be like his go-to for karaoke, and with Jamal still working and Maddie on a hot date, nobody's going to be able to do karaoke with him.
Yeah, poor Josh. He's having the worst week.
Yeah, but he wants all the juicy details in the morning. Maddie's like, okay.
But considering what we've just learned about Chimney, it could be very juicy.
Oh, no.
No.
Hashtag Chimney Han has a blood kink.
Oh, terrible. All right, so apparently neither Athena nor the 118 are actually working this week much because they're all just visiting each other. Hen is now visiting Athena and having a drink.
It might be, I was about to say it might be after work, but no, their shifts are 24 hours, so Hen should still be at work if the writers had any interest in like actually paying attention to shift times.
No, well, clearly they've clocked off because Chimney's going out for dinner tonight.
Maybe it's one of their like 48 off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they are allowed out of the fire station occasionally.
Yeah. Athena and Hen have a conversation about like, you know, the camping trip, and Hen asks how it's going and Athena says, oh, it's fine. At least that's what Harry says. So obviously Harry has actually called her at some point and things must have simmered down a little bit because Harry says it's fine. I don't know how long they were going camping for.
I'm going to assume that this scene, because we get a scene later on where Harry falls asleep talking to Athena. So I'm going to assume that those scenes are happening like one after the other.
Yeah.
So she's literally just talked to him and it's the same day as everything.
Yeah, she's worried about him, the fact that, you know, he might have to lose his dad. She'd never thought that she would have to prepare him for that. Not at 10 years old, at least. But Hen tells her that, you know, kids are resilient, like he'll get through it. It's very heartfelt and lovely.
Well, the thing is, like, and that Hen reminds Athena is that Athena's a cop who risks her life every day. And so Michael has had to prepare them for the day that she doesn't make it home. Mm-hmm. And Athena's like, oh no, but like this is looming over us. And Hen's like, well, yeah.
How is that different to every other day?
I just kept thinking of that, was it the earthquake episode where they couldn't get in touch with Athena?
Yeah.
And like May and Harry were frantically watching the news on their iPad rather than helping Michael get the earthquake bags ready because they were looking for their mother on the news just to reassure themselves that she was still alive.
Yeah. And then, like, May and her got, stuck in electrified water during the tsunami. So May is very aware about how dangerous Athena's job is.
Oh, God.
And then Harry had a gun pointed at him during a traffic stop.
They've been through so much.
They've been through so much.
Oh.
But yeah, Athena's worried. Like, she was starting to prepare for the loss of her parents, but she wasn't ready to say goodbye to Michael. And she's afraid, and if he dies, she's afraid of what it'll do to May and Harry, and they need their father.
Yeah, Hannah reassures her that they're tougher than we give them credit for, and whatever happens, they'll be okay.
So
right,
while Hen and Athena are drinking wine on their patio, Maddie and Chimney are on their date at their very expensive and revolving restaurant.
Yeah, except they're not in the revolving
but
bit.
they're not revolving.
No.
No.
Apparently there's an outside track to this place that revolves, and they are stuck in the middle where it is not revolving.
Which Maddie says it's fine, because she can people watch without straining her neck, because the people are just going to move around her.
Yeah, I mean, you still get the feeling of revolving because the tables next to you are revolving, I guess.
Yeah,
you are just yourself not revolving. You
just don't get to see all the, 360 view.
Yeah. And Chimney just dives right into the point of the dinner date. Like, there's no carefully broaching the subject. He just immediately says, "I love you."
Oh, bless him.
And Maddie just stares
so
at him,
cute.
and he kind of realizes that he's just blurted it out, and it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't actually mean to just blurt it out like that. But he doesn't want to push, and he doesn't want to make Maddie uncomfortable, but he has been uncomfortable because he has been wanting to tell her, but he's been scared to tell her, but now he's just told her. It's a very sweet mess.
Yes.
Yeah. He's so nervous, and he doesn't want to pressure her, but he needed to tell her, and she doesn't have to say it back. And then Maddie goes, "I'm not sure that I can," and his little face just falls.
Oh, poor Chim.
I'm like, Chimney baby.
She has a very good reason, though. It's like, she doesn't think that she can say the actual words, "I love you," because they were an automatic response to an immediate threat. And you gotta put a pin in that sentence, an automatic response to an immediate threat. Because that's important. But she does reassure Chim that while she can't say the words, it is how she feels about him.
Yeah, so basically the words have lost meaning to her. But she does feel that way towards him. And she feels happy and safe when she's with him, and a million other things that she can't explain right now. But she feels all of that for Chim. That's so sweet. I love them so much.
And Chim just says, "That's fine. I will say it enough for the both of us."
Yeah.
She's just
So
adorable.
cute.
And then Chim starts waffling on about there's other things that he wants to discuss, because, Maddie has been staying over at his place pretty late sometimes. Sometimes she's even staying the night. Maddie is too
spicy.
busy because over Chim's shoulder, the table moving in their direction is a young man and a woman, and the young man appears to be digging around in his pocket for something, and when he pulls it out from underneath the table, it's a jewelry box. And Maddie
So Chim goes, "I was thinking maybe we need to take the next step," to which Maddie proposes, "Oh my god, public proposals make me squirm."
Yeah. Because Chim has not noticed that Maddie is not paying attention to him. And he's absolutely horrified. Like, no, Maddie, I'm not proposing to you. And she's like, wait.
That's not what this is.
No, I know you're not proposing to me. That guy over there is proposing. Well, actually, he's not. Because
it
there's
looks like he is, but
it looks like he is, because there is a little jewelry box about the right size of a ring box, and And everybody in the room apparently thinks that he is about to propose. The woman that he is at the table with assumes that he is about to propose and actually preemptively looks like she's about to say yes.
So people around the restaurant are filming.
Yeah.
And this is where the guy realizes he has made a terrible mistake.
There's this big thing where the date, Wendy, tries to take the box out of his hands because he does not appear to be willing to hand it over. It goes flying. They end up under the table. It's all very cute. They emerge back out of the table. She's got the ring box. She opens it and she's like, the answer is earrings. Are you serious? Because it's not a diamond ring. It's a beautiful pair of diamond earrings.
Yeah, which he got her for her birthday, which is next week.
At which point everybody, including Maddie, is like, oh boy, this took a dramatic turn that none of us expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because, so they're starting to fight. Wendy starts getting up.
But she gets up on the wrong side of the fucking table.
Yeah. Like, she gets up towards the window. And as she's trying to get up, the table approaches, like, this big concrete pillar, which is part of the window. And she gets crushed between the table and the pillar.
Or she gets pinned between the table and the pillar.
Pinned, yes.
But, so Larry goes, I wanted to surprise you. And she goes, I'm not surprised. That's when she gets squished. And then she goes, crushed.
Literally.
Terrible. Terrible puns. I feel like this, like, I know it's for the drama and whatever, but is this not some kind of a safety hazard to have the table so close to the wall?
It's such a safety hazard.
There's so many things in this episode that just are for the absolute drama. Like, if she'd got up and stepped off to the side, she would have been fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tables being bolted to the floor, which we find out in a second they are, that seems like a really big risk.
Yeah.
Like, why are they bolted down? The track is not going fast enough that they're going to get flung off.
Yeah.
But we go to commercial and we come back and Chimney hears Wendy screaming and dives into action. And this is when we discover, because he tries to move the table, we discover that the table has been bolted to the floor. So he disappears
for safety.
To find...
That's what the manager says.
Safety. Yes, the manager says for safety. So he disappears to find something that they can use to unbolt the table, because they can't... I think they might have stopped the track, but they can't make the track go backwards.
Yeah, so they've stopped the rotation, but it only travels clockwise. They can't make it go the other way.
Yeah.
So they can't get her out without.
And the manager is totally useless here. It's like, would you not have some kind of procedure to, I don't know. Like,
she's so...
stop thinking about it.
The manager's so calm too. She's just like, nah, it only travels clockwise. She's clearly Jessie's mum. But
I'm assuming that because Chim and Maddie immediately have dived into action, so Chim's being very proactive. Maddie has called 911, like the quickest 911 call in the world, because she's...
Well, to be fair, she's a dispatcher, yeah, so she would have been
like... But she hasn't stayed on the line. She's, like, immediately just barked out probably location and what's happened, ended the call, and she's...
Bye!
And she's at Wendy's side. So the manager, finds out that you've got a former nurse and a current paramedic on the scene, and she's probably like, okay, they've got it. Her entire contribution is taking the glassware and flatware off the table. That's all she does.
But yeah, it's awesome to see, because like they haven't seen each other work and we haven't seen them work together. And it's really cool watching because, Maddie's just like former nurse, Chim goes current paramedic, and like they both just spring into action. So Maddie is keeping Wendy awake and alert and just asking her questions. Chimney goes and grabs the fire axe, that's behind a glass thing. It's fine. Shh.
He diagnoses her as having a separated pelvic bone first.
Simply by touching her.
Yeah. He uses the axe to lever the bolts out of the floor.
Makes Wendy scream more. Surely for her safety, it would have been better to wait the 5 or so minutes that it took for fire rescue to arrive and use the saw to cut the table and lift it away from her. Because as he's wedging the axe under the table is rocking into Wendy, crushing her further, exacerbating her already, like, horrific injuries.
I don't know.
It just reminds me of when Buck and Abby rescue the kid from the pool, and as soon as they get the kid out, the power gets cut and, like, everything's literally fine, and they could have just waited and kept the kid calm. Oh, but like, they were like, no, we need to do this.
I think every single time Abby tries to do a rescue, it's superfluous because immediately somebody is on the scene. Like, if she just waited 30 seconds, she would be fine.
I still can't get over her doing mouth to mouth on Buck when his entire airway was obstructed, and it's like, Abby, what the fuck are you doing? His entire airway is obstructed, and she's like, no, I'm gonna do rescue breaths, which will do nothing, and then instead of just continuing CPR, I'm going to give him a tracheotomy. Like, what?
That was a wild episode.
Wild.
But anyway, it works. It works.
Yeah, they get her out of the table. They get her out from the table and get her down.
Tim further diagnoses arterial bleeding.
Look, at least that they do show some bruising. So there is, like, evidence of bruising and bleeding under the skin. And I'm assuming that she's possibly also, like, the sensation, like, her abdomen feels like it goes rigid.
I guess they wanted to get her out as soon as possible because they were worried about hemorrhaging, and if she had started losing vitals, they can't do anything while she's standing up. Whereas if they have her
isn't that the whole thing that if you've got, like, a crush injury, the crush injury just kind of, like, acts as a tourniquet and just holds everything in place? And
if you've got it, like, yes, but no. So crush injuries, the longer that you stay crushed,
but she was it would have been what?
It's fine.
5 minutes
for the drama.
I know it's for the drama, but Ellen has reignited my cynicism.
I'm so sorry.
I love the Maddie team. The Maddie teamwork is just giving me life. Just let them be heroes.
They
let them turn each other on with Chimney's blood
competency.
They do work so well together, considering they have never worked together before. They do act like a well-oiled team out in the field.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get Wendy on the ground. They do a splint with a tablecloth.
Which is wrong, but okay.
Shh, it's fine. For the drama. Wendy and Larry make up, and Larry decides he is proposing by saying, I'm asking now. That's not even a proposal, but sure. And then we cut to the lobby where the paramedics are getting him out.
And Wendy, the idiot, says yes.
Yeah, I don't know why Wendy says yeah. Anyway,
I don't know why.
She's delirious from blood loss. It's fine.
She hasn't lost any blood, though.
She's bleeding internally.
Okay.
I mean,
Ellen's like, that's where all the blood's supposed to be.
It's not blood loss as in the blood is, like, leaving. It's like the blood is not currently circulating throughout her body. So she's still suffering from blood loss, even though, because it's not going to her heart. It's, like, going places it should not be going, and it's staying there.
Okay.
But,
yes. I'll defer to your superior knowledge. No.
Oh, my superior knowledge of, like, absolutely no medical training? Like, I don't even play a doctor on TV.
Yeah, so anyway, the paramedics fuck Wendy off. Maddie laughs about public proposals, and then Chim's like, that wasn't a proposal, by the way. Me, not them. Maddie's like, it wasn't. And then she's like, wait, were you going to ask me to move in with you? And Chimney goes, I was going to offer you a draw.
Which, considering what was he about to say? Hang on, I got to go back up and finish that sentence of his. Because he's saying...
he says something about you...
there are a few things I wanted to discuss. You stay over pretty late. Sometimes you even stay the night. And I was thinking that maybe we need to take the next step and I will give you a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to rush into anything, okay? After 10 months and 3 weeks.
So
I hope it was a
goddamn
big drawer
romantic.
and not one of those small ones at the top of the bureau. Anyway, Maddie, Chimney sort of changes the topic, and he starts to get a little flirty. He says that he finds the kicking ass and saving lives side of Maddie very hot.
And Maddie's like, you too, good with your hands. Very precise.
I was like, oh, I'm all about precision, baby.
So they lean in to have a little smoochy smooch, and the manager's just like, thanks, guys! They're just like, what the fuck? Who are you and where did you come from?
The bitch face that Maddie gives her is just amazing.
Like, time and place, lady.
It's like, I have not had sex in like 4 days, I think. I've lost count how long it's been. Just leave us alone.
To be fair, the manager probably started off as a waitress, and we all know that as soon as you have your mouth full, that's when they come and ask how everything's going. So she's just falling back on her training.
Right. But she does offer them anything she can do for them. Just let her know. And
which Maddie gets the, ooh, anything? Which turns out to be a suite in the hotel.
So they can get away from their roommate.
Yeah, so they get a big suite and take advantage of the minibar.
And each other.
Because hashtag Chimney Han has a blood kink.
Well,
apparently internal bleeding also counts.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's now got a competency kink as well, because they were about to, get hot and heavy after telling each other that they liked the way their hands worked. So.
Let's go camping again.
We're going to cut to the morning after, but we're going to give those two a little bit of time to sort of...
Give them some privacy.
Oh, no, sorry. It's not the morning after. We're still that night. So this is when Athena was saying, I talked to Harry, this is the end of that. So we've jumped back in time slightly because Michael comes out from the tent and Bobby is sitting by the fire and he asks Michael, is Harry still on the phone with Athena? Michael said he fell asleep halfway through the conversation.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
I don't think sorry, she's not 10 anymore, but I don't think she would have fallen asleep halfway through a conversation when she was 10 either, but that's very cute that he did.
It doesn't say much for Athena's conversational skills that Harry falls asleep so quickly.
So they have a little heart-to-heart by the fire.
Then May and I got our nails done, and then we went to that burger place, and Harry's just like...
And then we went to the mall, and we started off at this shop, and May bought this, and yeah, he's out.
Yeah. Bobby and Michael have a little heart-to-heart about, Michael's saying that he's talking about how his father died. So he died before they could tell anyone that Athena was pregnant. It was a stroke. So he died suddenly. And Michael goes on to tell... He's in a bit of an oversharing mood, I think. He was telling him all about how when they found out that they were having a boy and he wanted to be excited, but he could only think about his father and how his son would never know him. And Athena had all the answers, and Bobby's like, oh, yeah, she does. But they decided to name their son Harry after his grandfather, and they would talk about him, and Harry would know his grandfather without ever having met him. And Bobby assures him that he does. He talks about the way he talks about your father. You kept him alive for Harry.
So apparently that was the whole point of Bobby coming on this trip, because Michael wants Bobby to keep Michael alive for Harry the way that he was able to keep his father away, because May has had him for 18 years, so she will remember him. But he is worried because Harry is just a boy, that unless somebody constantly keeps bringing Michael up and remembering and reminding Harry, that all of his memories of Michael will fade.
Yeah. Like, Michael knows that, videos exist, right?
Yeah. When I was watching this, I kept thinking that it's a lot for Michael to be putting on Bobby. Like, Bobby is his ex-wife's new husband. Like, I know they're now besties, apparently. But, like, Bobby doesn't even know Michael all that well, although apparently they spend a lot of time together now. So maybe he does.
Bobby trying to keep the memory alive. Just like, oh, yeah, remember when your mum was married to that gay guy?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
good times.
It's a really nice sentiment. Like, I see where they're going with this, but is this the right person to ask to do that? Like,
yeah, like maybe talk to Athena about it.
Yeah,
who actually knows Michael and like
has all of those memories.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. He should be doing video journals.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of ways that he could be doing this rather than just putting it all on his wife's new husband.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a weird writing choice.
But it is a nice scene, like they do.
It's a really nice sort of male bonding to male characters, male friendship scene. It just like, why?
It's just a weird choice, yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to the morning after.
Yes, they've had a very lovely romantic night in their hotel room.
Chim's just coming out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel, so I'm assuming...
Oh, maybe they've been cleaning up, so...
Yeah, I'm assuming he had a shower.
We just take a moment to appreciate Kenneth Choi. Because,
right?
Damn, dude.
They ordered breakfast room service with candles because they never got around to having a candlelight dinner last night. So I assume they ate something, but they got
I'm not
going to
go there.
Crushing
I am not going to go there.
Next no.
They're going to have a candlelight breakfast. I'm not really sure why we needed to see that scene except for the thirst
Except
trapping.
that it was cute. Yeah, and
except
the thirst,
that we wanted,
and the Kenny thirst
Yeah, we
trap.
wanted Kenny out of a shirt.
Yeah. We always appreciate Kenny out of a shirt.
Yeah.
Back at the campsite, Bobby's on the phone with Athena, who is at work. And according to Bobby, it went well. They communed with nature, they planted a tree, and they ate s'mores under the stars. I'm down with the s'mores part. I don't know about the rest of it.
I mean, planting trees is good for the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they always, depending on where you're camping, I guess, appreciate you just planting random trees around the place.
Yeah. Like, are they planting something that's, like, species and state appropriate?
It looked kind of like a pine tree.
Yeah.
Or some kind
But do they want pine trees in that particular part of the forest?
They'll go back at Christmas time and be like, where the fuck did our pine trees go?
Maybe that's where Athena's Christmas trees are coming from. Michael is just, like, planting them at the beginning of the year and then coming back in December to harvest them.
How fast do pine trees grow?
They grow reasonably fast, but
like the previous year's one, so he's got like a year for it to grow and establish.
Yeah,
and then he
I mean,
cuts
they don't
it down.
want it to get too big, otherwise they won't fit it in the house. Don't tell Harry, God.
Not like Chris's Christmas tree where he wants the like really big one.
Which is so big that Eddie couldn't even fit it in the house. Yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently they're going to come home soon, so okay. Thanks for letting us know, guys.
And Michael and Harry appear to have reconciled because Michael gives him a hug as they're packing the car back up. So, yeah, they're little just tying up loose ends scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure nothing drastic will happen in the next 5 minutes of the show.
Yeah, it's just the end, right?
Yeah. So we go back to Chimney's house. Albert was worried about him, but Chim says that it was none of his business where he was.
Albert's up making coffee when Chim sort of lets himself in and tries to sneak in. And can I say how unfair it is that men get away with doing the walk of shame? Because it does not look like a walk of shame.
Yeah.
Because he's in a suit. Like, he's got his jacket over his shoulder, so he's in, like, suit pants and a suit shirt. It does not look like that he didn't come home last night. It looks like he's just dressed very professionally.
Yeah, because like they don't have the smeared makeup, they don't have the like slept-in hair. Like the slept-in hair doesn't look too bad when you run a.
Even if
He's not
you did
carrying
have
his
the
shoes.
chance to shower, you're clearly wearing evening clothing at like 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
So even if you look put together, it's quite clear that you are not supposed to be wearing those clothes right now.
Mm-hmm.
But Chim gets away with it, although Albert's like, where have you been? He was so worried about you. Chim just steals his cup of coffee and says, like, none of your business. But for your information, I took Maddie out and things ignited.
He looks so smug.
Maddie...
and speaking of smug...
Maddie is at work.
Oh, she is in such a good mood.
Yes, she is.
Can you blame her?
She bounces into the room. She's like, yeah, I got some.
Josh immediately makes a beeline to her and is like, how did it go? I need all the details. And Maddie's like, well, there was a pelvic splint involved. Josh is like, ooh, kinky.
Like, Josh, you have no idea.
Hashtag Chimney Han has a blood kink.
But Maddie does note that because as she walks in before Josh gets to her, there is an LAPD officer on the dispatch floor that she kind of gives a nod of acknowledgement to. And as she's walking through, she's seeing other LAPD officers on the floor. And she brings it up to Josh. She's like, there seems to be a rather large police presence here today. And Josh is like, it's the scheduled sit-alongs. So apparently it's not just 911 dispatchers going out in the cars. Sometimes the officers come in and sit in with the dispatchers to get sort of their perspective.
Yeah, totally normal event.
Apparently.
So Josh says that Maddie should read the calendar. Maddie says she doesn't have to because she has Josh. Jamal has not moved. Like, he's still
apparently
in the kitchen.
Not.
Exactly where Maddie left him the night before.
So the night before, when she's leaving and Josh is asking about karaoke, Jamal was in the break room making coffee. When she walks back in, he is still behind the counter of the break room making coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he slept. Like, he said he picked up an extra shift, but oh my god.
I don't think it was, because she says, have you been here all night? And he's like, no, it just feels like I was. So I think he's done till midnight or 1 a.m, has gone home, got maybe like 2 hours sleep, and then he's come back.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So he's going to be in like great shape for today's shift.
To be fair, like even in retail, I used to do open closes a lot. And so I'd do 10-hour shifts. And the amount of customers that would be like, do you just live here? And I'm like, yeah, I've got a dog bed out the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it absolutely just feels like you live there sometimes. Like you go home, are awake for like an hour, then go to bed, and then you're back at the store before 8 a.m. and you're just like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
So as Maddie is putting her stuff away, she gets a call and it's Chim. He's just checking in to make sure that she got out of the hotel okay. They didn't like try and charge her for for the room or the dinner or everything, but no, it was fine. Everything was 100% comped. And she stays on the phone with Chim as she leaves the break room and heads to her station to clock in, which is important because while she is talking to Chim on the phone, Sue comes up to behind her and is talking to someone called Officer Brown. And she's saying to Officer Brown that I'm going to have you ride along with Maddie today. But Maddie's sitting at her station. Josh has come back to get more details about that pelvic splint. And he takes one look at the so far unseen Officer Brown and his face just drops.
Not only does his face drop, he drops his whole coffee cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His face drops. If you could make actors like lose the blood out of their face, that's what would have happened to Josh.
Oh, yeah.
And then we as
He's
the
shocked.
audience, we get a cut to Officer Brown who says, "Hi, handsome." And in case you didn't miss who Officer Brown is, he then says, "Seen any good movies lately?" And at this point, the penny should have dropped from that line and from Josh's reaction that Officer Brown is Greg, aka Josh's date, who beat the crap out of him at the outdoor cinema.
Yeah.
Yes. And he pulls a gun out from under his jacket, and all of the LAPD officers who are there are not, in fact, LAPD. They're all bad guys. They all have weapons.
And Maddie's still on the phone at this point.
Yeah.
And Greg tells her that she needs to end the call carefully. And you can hear Chim through the phone. He's like going, Maddie, what's going on? Where are you? Did I lose you? Maddie, what's going on? And she very clearly, very carefully says, I love you, Howie. And then ends the call.
Yeah. So not only does she say I love you, which she literally just said the night before she wouldn't be saying, she also called him Howie.
Yeah.
Because what did she say? It's like an automatic response to a threatening situation is what triggers her to say I love you. And yeah, she doesn't call him Chim, she calls him Howie.
And Chim's like just looking at the phone going, What the
fuck was that?
What was that?
And back at dispatch, Officer Brown, aka Greg, announces to all of the dispatchers as all of their stations start to shut down and we hear the generators whine as everything powers down, that he or we are taking control of this facility.
Yeah, don't move or you will be shot.
And he's got his little minigun raised above his head as he says this, just in case anybody really needs to have the point, like, hammered home.
Yeah.
And that's how that episode ends. And I love that this is how the episode ends, and then Ellen, you went and immediately watched the next episode because you couldn't wait a week.
Oh my god, I had to.
Yeah, you didn't even hesitate.
The thing is, if you were watching week to week, this would be hell to wait for a whole week until what's happening next. But because we have it all available now, I was like, screw this, I'm going straight on.
Like, Alice and I didn't even have to say anything like, oh my god, if you cannot wait until next week. You're just like, I can't wait, I'm just going
I'm starting. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like an unannounced two-parter. Although I guess it doesn't really relate. The episodes don't really relate apart from this last 5 minutes. So.
But yeah, watching this live would have been wild.
Yeah. Excellent cliffhanger.
And then not even watching it live would have been hell. But then they went on like a 2-week break.
Oh, did they?
Because the next episode didn't air until the middle of April. So just like in real life,
they do it on purpose.
It must have been Easter, yeah.
They used to do this with Supernatural as well. Whenever they'd go on a break, they'd have like breaks. A cliffhanger episode to keep you on tenterhooks for like 2 or 3 weeks.
It's currently season 8. They've just aired, was it 13? 8/13 has just aired. Yes, because 12 was Holy Mother of God.
No, 12 was disconnected. So 12 has just aired, and they're having a break.
Yeah.
For 15 or 16, one of the two.
So
is it a cliffhanger at the moment?
Well, we haven't got there yet.
Oh, okay. Okay, there's another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So obviously, it's a part of the regular sort of network schedule that somewhere around mid-April you have a break. So yeah, so you've got, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking over this facility. We'll see you in like 3 weeks' time.
Yeah.
Mean.
So on the 13th of April in 2020, when this first aired, the audience got The Taking of Dispatch 911. Which is a play on, it's like The Taking of Pelham something, is I think the movie title that it's a rip-off of. Taking of how do you spell that?
Pelham 123.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is the train.
Yeah. And the summary is
which I haven't actually seen, but I remember nothing about it.
I haven't seen that one. I know that there's an original, and then I think Denzel Washington did a remake.
Yeah, Denzel Washington and John Travolta.
That's as far as my knowledge goes. So the summary for Taking a Dispatch 911 is like full of spoilers, lots of information. Maddie fears for herself and her co-workers when the call center is taken hostage.
What? The call center was taken hostage? I never would have guessed.
That's it. That's all we got.
Yep.
Okay. The triggers for the Taking of Dispatch 911 includes people being taken hostage, funnily enough.
Yeah.
Workplace under threat of shooting, gun violence, threats of violence, a car accident, and just the generic cops being. Athena is just a walking trigger.
Oh. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what to say about this episode in general. Like, I feel like that I've torn it apart, like, with trying to make sense of it. But I mean, it kind of rolled along quite well. And there were a lot of really small scenes, but they kind of had to jump around because that's just the way they've structured it. But nothing happened in this episode that it was just...
It was very much a bridging
filler.
episode.
It was a filler episode.
Yeah. Which is funny because this week 911 was also a bit of a bridging episode. So it just must be this time of the...
I like filler episodes and bridging episodes. I think in today's, the way that everything is designed with streaming services, and it's like very, very short, like 10 episode seasons, so you don't have the ability to have a fluff filler episode because you've got limited time to tell the story. Every episode is like must see, because if you miss it, you're going to miss out on so much. So I like the fact that there's an episode like Pinge, and you're like, yeah, I don't actually have to watch this one again. Yeah. I can just go straight on.
I like filler/fluff episodes. One thing I hate from like older TV shows that I'm really glad they don't do anymore is clip show episodes.
Oh no. See, I adore some. If they're done right, they're amazing. One of my favorite TV shows was Stargate SG-1, and their clip shows were so good.
What is a clip show?
So it's where they play old clips from the TV, because back in the day, the only way you could rewatch things was if it replayed on TV. So occasionally they'd do like flashback episodes. So if you've watched Friends, it's like before Chandler proposed, or when they were writing their vows or whatever.
It was a really easy way for them to pad a season, because they didn't have to shoot a whole heap of shit. They could shoot like maybe
they just went
5 minutes of actual footage, and then they would just fill the rest of the episode with flashbacks from previous episodes. So it was a cheap way to get a new episode out.
And it made sense back then, because you couldn't just rewatch stuff, but now that you like can binge stuff, it's like, I just fucking watch this. I get it. I don't need to watch it again.
It's very much a relic of the 22 episode season.
Yeah. My favorite show that did it though was Community, because they do a clip show episode, but all the clips are brand new. Like none of them actually happened. So they're like, oh, remember that time we did this? And then it flashes back to something that we never saw.
Right, yeah.
So no, my favorite one from Stargate was they had, it was nothing to do with the actual show. It was a guy who, for some reason, was connected to one of the main characters telepathically. So everything the main character was doing, this guy saw in his head. So he was a barber, so he would be telling his customers the stories that he was seeing in his head, which were episodes from the TV show and previous series. And
that's kind of cool.
The actor that they had doing this was the guy who does the voice, and I've completely forgotten his name, of Homer Simpson.
Oh,
Hank Azaria.
Hank Azaria was Apu.
Homer Simpson? What's his name? He's in everything too.
And the really cool thing was that
Dan Castellaneta? Yep, can't say that.
And it was a really cool thing because
but yeah, he's in everything.
The main actor the character who he was connected to telepathically, his favorite TV show was The Simpsons, and his favorite character was Homer Simpson. And the actor themselves playing that character loved The Simpsons and loved Homer Simpson. So it was a nice little kind of Easter egg that they brought in the guy playing Homer Simpson to play this character. So they actually got to meet. So yeah, that's my favorite clip show episode.
Yeah. So if it's done right, sure. But like Friends is very much just like, oh, we need an episode here.
I mean, the filler episodes are where we get some background character info, so it's like bread and butter for fanfic writers, for instance.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Not necessarily any character development, but just random stuff about characters.
Yeah, like this one we learn all about Michael's dad and how Harry is named after his grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, well, we learned some information about Chimney that maybe we didn't want to know. Maybe we did. Maybe we did.
Hashtag Chimney Han has a blood kink.
Please do let us know what you thought about this episode, and if you're excited for the heist that is coming, let us know. You can leave us a comment on Spotify or in this episode's post on thatweewoo.com. And we'd also love it if you could give us a rating on your favourite listening platform. That would be awesome. Thank you for those of you who've already done that.
Yeah, you can actually rate on multiple platforms. It's not illegal.
Yeah.
You can rate us on Spotify and then go to Apple Podcasts and rate us there as well.
Thanks everyone for listening this week, and we will see you next time for episode 14, which is called The Taking of Dispatch 911. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
911 is a fictional show, but many of the situations portrayed happen in the real world too. If any of the topics we've discussed in this episode have affected you, please know you're not alone. You can call or text numbers in your country for help. Just Google crisis support in your location to find out the number. If you enjoy our podcast, you can help us out by leaving us a review on Spotify or your preferred listening app, and by sharing our social media posts. Find out more at thatweewooshow.com.
Hashtag Chimney Han has a blood kink.
Get it trending, people. Get it trending.
Oh, no.
Okay, back to camping.